folks. Howdy. Look like the Matrix. There's your planetary alignment stamped into the ground. With your other three objects, the bigger objects I've been talking about, and then our planetary alignment. I told you about 5 in 1. If I told you about 5 in 1, maybe you could grasp the concept. About higher math. Alright, howdy folks, welcome back. I told you I would be back. I'm a man of my word. Alright, let's get the show started here, make a few little adjustments. Hopefully we can bring this up. Alright, it's a little slow tonight, so give it just a second to pull up there. While that's loading up, we're going to take out some of these other things that are holding it up. Did you guys see that planetary alignment in the crop circle there that we're just kind of having right now? And then it has a representation also of those 3 bigger objects in an orbit around the sun. Okay. So while that's loading up, let me take a moment to thank you guys for taking a moment of your time to be a part of this precious family. Okay, when you stick around to the spiritual report at the end, if you don't fall asleep to my voice before then, once you make it to the spiritual report at the end, you will indeed find out how precious this family is and how precious you are to me. okay? Especially a moment of your time. That was something I could not get for 7 years, was a moment of anybody's precious time, okay? So I know how precious it is. There you are, Black Bear, precious dear. I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you hop in here, okay? And look at you, Lizard Hunter. You're in blue there, aren't you? All right, good, good, good. Some of my homework finally getting caught up on. Whew. Okay, got all that stuff out of the way. Welcome, all you guys. I sure love you guys. All right, here we go. All right, let's catch our opening frame. First of all, we don't have all our data. It stops at 1800. Okay, so we're missing a little bit of data here, but we are going to take what we get and run with it. Okay, 024 of, let me pull this up. January 27th, 2025, 127.25. All right, and here we go. Here's your opening frame right there, 024. Let me grab this button, and you can see an event underway here in our Spire region, okay, as it emerges. If I can get my hand to hold still on this button. There we go. Okay, meanwhile, this is coming out. You can see little objects kind of scattered about, you know, like almost like a shotgun blast type effect. Other ones going in over here, stuff kind of leaping out over at this side too. Okay, so a lot going on in different directions, even though it doesn't look like much, but this one not looking very round or circular in shape or carrying any plasma, looking more like a disc or a UFO. Okay, I've told you these UFOs have plagued me my whole life. They're real. Finally, the world is kind of catching on to how real they are. Okay, meanwhile, over on this side, you can see we got a little event going on over there. Let me back up a frame or two. Something captured in here. We got this V-shaped bow shock on the end here. Kind of strange what's going on in there. Usually it's painted a little bit more defined. But I'll let you be the judge of that. Okay, you guys have eyes that see. Really defined disc right there. Let's go back to that one right there. All right. You can almost see the windows on this thing. Can you guys see that a little bit? If you tilt your head to the left a little bit, you can almost see a row of windows running on that thing. We go in even tighter. Something scooting through there. I'll let you be the judge of that as well. All right, remember, part of this, UFOs are part of this whole story, okay? They're not your saviors or anything like that. They're not here to save you from anything. They're the watchers. They're there, okay? And they're interacting with the sun all the time. We catch them all the time. This is nothing new. All right, so as we continue, see another event coming off the side over here, taking a little bit of plasma with it. Back up a little bit. You see on this red side, a little bit of plasma came out with it here. Let's go forward a little bit. Okay, so you see it takes a little bit of plasma out with it. Kind of make out your round spherical shape right here. Let me back up a frame or two. Right there. Okay. And a couple of slight adjustments here. Let's pull back a little bit. Don't want the wavy lines. But I still want you to be able to see that. All right, so there's that a little bit. Okay, and you can come over here and mess around with this instrument as well. I'll show you how to get to this link if you want. You should be coming over here and checking for yourself too. Ooh, all kinds of UFOs scattered all over this one. The frame before, that frame, bunch of them scooting around, streaking through there. And then we have this event coming out right here, very strange shape, but you see this wider spread coming from here and out to this line here. So something bigger, maybe sneaking around a little further out of frame. and then it ends right there with this weird kind of shape right here. So let's back up and watch that. Whoops. Let's back up a little bit. See how this one comes out a little strange here? You can see something dark, round, spherical object right there. That's the frame with all the UFOs in it. Yeah, you can see it sneaking out there. And then that was it. That was it. It ends at 1812. We don't have our full 24 hours of data there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back into motion. And sometimes it's the motion that our eyes capture more, okay? Meanwhile, note a lot of this stuff still in flow. I believe these are objects approaching from the backside or from a different angle, okay? That's from our perspective appears to be going into the sun, but you got to remember space is three-dimensional, goes backward, forward like that. So there's stuff approaching probably, and we're bound to see more ricochet activity when these come in. They kind of bounce off and come out at different angles and stuff. So hello everybody. Hi Christine. So some of this activity here is we're still going to see more activity. Note these spire regions, they're still pointing all over the place. They act like compass needles, magnetically pointing at another magnetic field. So as another magnetic field approaches the sun's magnetic field, they pull on each other and tug on each other, and it tugs plasma out in these streaks like this, okay? And like I said, they act like compass needles pointing to your inbound objects. Sometimes they're well, drawing the field in which it's going to be in. Maybe it'll be a bigger object in between the two spikes. Also, another effect we see is these dark patches, kind of like here or up here sometimes. These objects absorb light, so you got to look for dark patches, patches where there's missing light, because they absorb light. So if they absorb light, they leave a dark patch sometimes as well. Okay, it just depends on what kind of size and shape or mode or how they're angled or coming at the sun. But there's your activity for the moment right there, okay? So let's get on into the solar ham here. Try and get some of these waving lines out of the way. I'll struggle with that all night. Solar flux indice down some more, down to 163. This is good. This is lower than last night's, okay? So that's a little bit of good news to report. Our indices are down 8 more points. Sunspot number at 146. It's still in the green, which is okay, but we're up another 6 spots. Okay, I expect to see it probably climb some more, especially with all those spires sticking out and other kinds of inward flow going in towards the sun. That tells me we're going to see some more activity. So we'll probably see sunspot numbers start to increase a little bit, and that counts on the backside all the way around the sun, okay, all faces of the sun. So it's not just the Earth facing side has 146. Meanwhile, let's continue on. I'm going to pop this open really quick. There's not much to look at. There's no really big major sunspots right now, which is good. Okay, a little break for a minute. There's finally a moment where we had no sunspots on the Earth-facing side of the sun, which has been a first in a long time. Okay, so a little bit of good news there, but you can see 3977, something starting to grow over on this side and over here too. So one of these objects as approaches the sun will cause that magnetic field to roil and twist and turn and boil. So that's what will cause these things to fire up. Sometimes they'll fire up out of nowhere, and that's what we saw a few days ago with one of these that fired up over here, got very active, and then petered out and went away. So I believe it's either these moons, these satellite moons, and their little magnetic fields, and these bigger objects as well. There was just an incident about a week ago where we had 3 pretty good sized sunspot regions that weren't doing much. They were just rotating by, and they almost look like the same configuration as our 3 bigger objects here. Okay, I'm not saying this is what exactly the layout is, but it's a good representation of what I'm trying to describe. These bigger objects, these black stellar cores, are riding an orbit around the sun, okay, and they go in a 1, 2, 3 punch. Then we get a little break, and then it goes 1, 2, 3 again as it orbits around. Meanwhile, in this configuration, it shows a planetary alignment. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, okay, going on out there. So that to me is, I can see it right there. That's a planetary alignment. These rings, and when you see a circle on a ring, that denotes an orbit, okay? When they're off of the ring like that, that denotes like you're outside that orbit. So these objects appear to be going in an orbit around our sun in a configuration that's just inside the orbit of Mars. Okay? I don't know. I'll let you be the judge of that, but this is like a good configuration or a good example of what I'm trying to talk about with these three bigger objects in a row. And the other day, well, about a week or so ago, we saw that kind of configuration in sunspots on the Earth-facing side of the sun, but nothing happened. And it looked to me like that was those three objects going around behind us, because we would be inside the circle. So these objects would go behind the Earth, between Earth and Mars, come back around like this, around the sun, back behind Earth and Mars. And sometimes when we're seeing these high-speed solar winds without any kind of CME, I believe it's when one of these objects is back behind us and it's drawing solar wind towards it, and it's behind us. So solar wind increases coming at us sometimes, because I think one of these objects is rotated back behind where Earth would be right here, okay? Understand that concept a little bit there? Hopefully you grasp that a little bit. So right now we're in the clear here. This would be that spot where there's nothing on the Earth side of the sun, right? Because there's one here, one behind, one on the side or something. So there's nothing in here. So we're not seeing any sunspots on our facing side of the sun. And aren't we in a planetary alignment right now? The last few days? Yeah. So back to our show. Hopefully that gives you a little something to think about there. All right, now let's come back here and see how fluxed we are. Goes X-ray flux, that is. Swimming pools and movie stars, because I'm just a hillbilly. All right, here we go. As you can see, pretty smooth day except for your one spike right there, your one M flare, okay? And that was our little thing that we had pointed out here earlier. It was that one right there. Okay, or probably this one right here, the secondary blast, because this was earlier in the day. When you look at it, ends at 1800. Okay, so what we see ends about right here. So it's that first second little blast right there that we saw. Okay, not that one, but that one. Not that one, but that one. It keeps freezing up. Anyways, there's your little graph. All right, and then you can see not much going into tomorrow, but that's in between this instrument and the sun. Let's come on back and still take a little peek under the hood here at what's going on tomorrow. I know you guys don't want to, but we're going to do it anyways. A little peek into the future. Okay, let that load up. Oh, it's not much to look at, but you can see our next event coming off our Spire region over here. Okay, so and it looks like a kind of a slower, it's not a really fast event or whatever, so it looks like a slower type event. Meanwhile, you see other activity moving in towards the sun, stuff approaching from a different angle that's going to hit like the little magnetic barrier, magnetic field line of the sun, and then like a magnet repulse and push off and ricochet off at a different angle. And you can see the flow of stuff approaching and stuff coming out. So we're in the middle of this flow period where stuff is approaching and coming out, which is these little moons and satellites are indicators of the bigger objects. They seem to orbit the bigger stellar cores. All right, so there's a little peek into tomorrow already. Okay, Now, let's move on, shall we? You guys enjoy the show? You should. Okay. All right, 3 day geomagnetic forecast, all clear for the next 3 days. That's great news. I love that. You know me, I'm a stickler for absorption, and we don't need any more geomagnetic enhancement. Okay. Meanwhile, your M flare today was a 2.6 off the east limb. Okay. All your sunspots have gone really quiet. Okay. All beta class. There's no delta, no gamma configurations whatsoever. We had really low KP for quite a while there, but now it's come popped up a little bit. It's a little unsettled. Came up to a KP3 right there. Not too much, it's not, anything to worry about until we get, 4 and above. But as you can see, we had that suppression event for a minute there. Okay. Now it seems to be released, almost like a magnetic grip that squeezes on the planet and kind of stops all kind of electromagnetic activity. And then once it's passed or let go of this grip, then we kind of go back to this normal type activity right here. Because this is not normal, having it really low KP0 and KP barely 1 for a long, long time. Anyways, that's good. We're back up to normal there. Okay, and you saw our auroras are really weak right now. Okay, that's good too. We're not taking on a bunch of energy from the sun. This energy hits the magnetic field. It gets diverted to the poles. It's a donut-shaped type torus field that brings everything to the north and south pole. There's where your auroras are. Okay, then the poles absorb it and take it down to the core, and then the core starts heating up and expanding, and magma heats and expands, and then we have volcanoes and earthquake. Okay, but right now looking good. All right, so. We saw the filament eruption already. Let's do a little track-a-lacking since we have been lacking some tracking. Okay, all clear, not showing anything coming off this one for a while, and all good here, except for your plasma density is a little elevated here. Okay, there's a coronal hole coming around the side of the sun facing the Earth. That coronal hole causes high-speed wind, solar wind speeds, and that would be this side of the if one of these objects were back behind us or something, pulling high speed wind speeds or something at us. Okay, we'll see what happens here as we transition through that kind of configuration there. All right, so nothing really going on too much there as far as your tracking. We saw this filament eruption yesterday, but let's do it again because it was a beautiful shot for those of you who missed it last night. And we can do this. Okay, when one of these objects goes by, it's way out of frame, but its magnetic field latches onto this filament, lifts it up like that, and then as your object's pulling away, the spaghettification effect rips this plasma away from the sun, and that was that little. Here, it'll show it here at the end. This little feature that we saw yesterday with that hot plasma coming further out than usual. Okay, so one more time. This shot right here is a good one right there. Okay, do you see how it gets pulled and lifted away? It's not like the sun just burped this out. It's not like there was a bunch of pressure on the sun that pushed this out. This thing gets ripped and pulled away. Hey, everybody's been thinking the opposite, that the sun spits these things out. It's more these objects rip that plasma off of there. Okay, that's all old reports for now. Okay, hopefully you guys grasp that little example that I was pointing to. And, not proven, but it seems to be the trend. Okay, I've been watching this for a while. We've had this 1, 2, 3, and then a break, and 1, 2, 3, and a break, and then there's 1, 2, 3, and a break again. So it's just kind of like I don't have a chalkboard or anything to draw out diagrams and examples, but that is a good example right there. And of all things, stamped into the field. Now, this site here in England, these ones I consider very, very authentic. Okay, people have faked some before, but our most authentic ones that have come with math formulas, higher math, three-dimensionality, four-dimensionality into them, all come out in this region around here, okay? So when I see this configuration showing up at this region, that tells me this is a little message stamped into the ground right there. And like I said, it represents a good example or good display of what I'm trying to describe. So now we're going to move on to spaceweather.com. Here we go. Romeo. All right, so spotless alert canceled. Briefly on January 27th, the sun flirted with spotlessness, a blank solar disk that hasn't been seen in more than 3 years. Spotless alert canceled. A big new sunspot group is emerging over the sun's northeast limb. Astronomers with solar telescopes should point their optics here. We might point there in a minute, but a hole in the sun's atmosphere, okay? The sun's atmosphere is the corona, all right? So let me read this really quick. A large hole has opened in the sun's atmosphere and is spewing a stream of solar wind towards Earth. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, the SDO, photographed this structure, which is almost 800,000 kilometers wide. Okay. Let's see how we're going to show. Let's see. First, let's look here. I want to see what this is really quick. Oh, they're just showing that little region that was rounding the limb here that we're going to talk about. All right, so, oops, I shouldn't have clicked out of the whole site there. So, the spotless alert is canceled. We're starting to get sunspots. Okay, now the corona of the sun is much like the magnetic field of Earth. Okay, inside the sun is a core and an outer core dynamo spinning inside the outer core. It propagates out a magnetic field. All right, the same magnetic field that protects Earth. Well, the sun has one that produces a magnetic field that is so powerful and so strong that the magnetic field emits light. That's how powerful the magnetic field is so strong that it emits light, and that's the corona of the sun. That's why we use coronagraphs to look at the sun. We want to see what's going on in the corona. When you have a hole in the corona of the sun, a magnetic influence, another sphere, another magnetic field pushing on it like this and splitting this open, creating solar wind, which comes out, it's being pulled out by the object that's over here, getting sucked towards it. Okay, and I believe that's why we get these high-speed solar winds that come out of this area. I don't think the sun is pushing out that solar wind out of these holes. It's a hole in the corona, in the magnetic field. Okay, they're coronal holes, a hole in the corona. Okay, so it's a magnetic field anomaly that pushed a hole open in the corona, and when that happens, the magnetic field that's doing it is probably drawing that wind out faster. Okay, there's a little bit different physics going on than what science has you guys thinking here. A black hole isn't a hole in the fabric of space-time. It's a super dense stellar core, like the core of a burned out star. Okay, so a lot of these terms are kind of they're self-defeating. It's not a black hole. It should be called the black sphere. All right, but a hole in the sun's atmosphere, large hole open in the sun's atmosphere, and is spewing a stream of solar wind. So expect to see an uptick in solar wind. Okay, and I believe that happens sometimes when these configurations start to rotate back behind us. Okay, our alignment already happened. It's a few days later. Okay, so now this thing might be coming back around behind us, creating a coronal hole on this side of the sun. And as it rotates around, you'll see draw that stream towards it. Okay. All right, moving on to our Schumann now. We got to get to this Schumann. You guys dig what I'm laying down? You picking up what I'm laying down? Can you dig it? All right, there's your Schumann for right now. Most of you guys kind of know what to look at here. We're looking at our 7.83. We want to see a good, solid, smooth green line. Any kind of disruptions in that green line, well, is disruptions in you. All right, and this is caused by the pressure down below. Your core, outer core spinning inside of it, propagates out a magnetic field. That magnetic field hums much like high voltage wires do. And that hum is a 7.83 hertz. That's the heartbeat of the planet. That's the hum of the electromagnetic field. Okay? That's generated by the little dynamo inside the earth, the core spinning inside the outer core, or what I call a shell. Okay? Doesn't matter how thick or thin the outer core is, it's still a shell that's wrapped around a core. Okay? So that core spinning in its shell propagates out a magnetic field out in all directions. The faster it spins, the stronger it gets. The slower it spins, the weaker it gets. And you see little spots of weakness here. We came back to life, had a little bit of grinding. You can see what I believe is magma running on the underside of the crust, creating this intensity at 12 hertz, okay, because there's a barrier where these sound waves going through the magma hit the crust. Then the crust slows those waves down and you get your lower frequency waves. So lower frequencies up here at the top going down or higher. Okay, so your lower frequencies are all stuff that's going through the crust. And then all of a sudden we have a little area here where everything stops and jumps and reacts. So I believe this is magma running on the underside of the crust. Okay. Or pushing on it too. Got to remember, magma's flowing around in currents around the planet as it rotates in giant oceans rotating under the crust, okay, flowing around under there. And sometimes it scrapes on the underside of the crust, and I believe that's what we're seeing at this frequency right here, okay? Now, as you can see, we've had a little scraping and scratching, not too much, pretty much good continuity through our green line, a little bit of weakness here, a little bit earlier, but that was yesterday, okay? So all in all, pretty good. We're coming back to some decent continuity right now, so everybody can take a deep breath, exhale, and breathe a sigh of relief. Whew. Okay, now coming back over here to the null school. The school of the null. Let's get schooled in your null. How about that? Okay. Maybe it's this. Not close enough. All right. A little bit of good news tonight. We got our thermal updates. Okay, back on track as far as the calendar on the thermal update here tonight. So that's going to be good because that's some vital information. First off, though, let's take a look at our tropical convergence zone right here. This wind is the convergence zone is supposed to be right around the equator. Now it's shifted north here because we have thermal pockets on the ocean floor that are disrupting the currents and disrupting the air up above it, shoving this convergence zone, a few degrees north here than where it usually should be, right down by the equator. Okay. Now let's go up in height and elevation. This is the surface. We're going to go up to 850 where our storms reside. Going to look around here at the west coast. I'll let that play for just a second. You can see all your little air patterns swirling around. Okay, we'll zoom in just a tad bit tighter here. There we go. Okay, then you can see a lot of this stuff is getting shunted north, coming over Canada, back down into the plains. We also have this flow that's coming off the Gulf of America here, up into Texas and Louisiana. That's a deadly mix. So we get that warm, moist air from that hot pocket there coming up, slamming into cold Canadian air. It's a mix for disaster. Meanwhile, we have this big hedge of protection going on over here. It's been there for a while for a reason, okay? It stands out like a sore thumb. It has for a while, but nobody really notices that. We're all too busy looking at the storms. Okay, so let's take a peek around The other day, we were talking about this storm right here, okay? It was out here gaining strength, moving in towards Spain. I was told you watch out for that region, Europe, Spain, and everything. Well, on tonight's opening, you saw the devastation and stuff that came out of Spain from that storm. Okay, lots of high speed winds came out of that as well. Blew a lot of stuff down, knocked out power for those guys. So they got their butts handed to them, and look what's growing out there again. This has a very tight rotation in the center of it. That's almost kind of scary. It has an eye to it, an eye type effect to it there. Okay, so yeah, finally. And looks like a very powerful storm. And if you see these wind currents, you follow the direction that they're going, it's going to go into this region here again. So everybody in Spain and Italy, Italy got slammed with snow, but all this region, watch out, even up into the UK and Ireland. Here comes what looks to be like a small little winter hurricane. It's got some pretty tight rotation in it, okay? Let's pull back really quick, let you guys see some of the activity going on there. Oh yeah, let's just look around really quick here. We're gonna take a peek at our polar vortex tonight. Meanwhile, we got this split over here in the ocean. Whoa. We got this vortex that's kind of pushing this storm back around this way, kind of keeping it blocked off. All right, so got that little effect going there. What I wanted to do is go to our polar vortex for a second here now. All right, you can see our main vortex right here, looking very oval, not round, very pinched off, very oval in shape. You can see our sub-vortex, another rotation, another vortex, well, rotating this way, sorry, next to it, okay? It's that sub-vortex that's pushing on the side of this, pinching it into this configuration. We'll let that sit there for a second so you can grasp that concept. This little bubble, this little spinning vortex up at this elevation, at this height, is still pinching up against our polar vortex. We have a bipolar vortex. How about that? And it's that other this other one down below that's causing the oval effect. Now, when we see this oval effect, look where it's pointing. The oval effect is coming straight down out of Canada, taking a U-turn and heading right out across the Atlantic, right? And you can see this split air comes right down here, splits and goes this way, splits and goes that way. You see an inflow coming across Mexico here. Okay, this inflow jet goes across Mexico. It's picking up moisture. Well, not up here, but that's over your hotspot. So there's your polar vortex, your bipolar vortex. Okay, now we're going to go down in altitude. I'm going to try to leave that right there so you can see it. Now there's your upper polar vortex. Here's your lower polar vortex. Okay, it's basically the transition zone between the vortex and your upper jet stream. This is your upper jet stream looking very wonky, okay? Very, very wonky. Instead of dives, look at these splits and just really dive up and come way over, recycle back around in this way. So that is a very wonky upper jet stream, okay? Then pull back a little bit. We're going to go to your lower jet stream. Okay, this is what usually controls the weather, the storm patterns right on the lower jet stream here. Okay, now we're starting to see the lower jet stream and this lower thermal layer fight for dominance in the air. Now you see this pattern that's set up right here. Let me take you to our regular air level. Okay, you can see a little bit of correlation between our regular pattern and our lower jet. So the lower jet and our regular storm area are trying to match up, but this matches up more with your thermal pattern. And we'll get to that in just a second, because now we want to do the particulates. Let's do our sandstorm report. Okay. Got to remember all kinds of particulates in our air. So it's producing a lot more raindrops. Okay. Raindrops are formed by moisture adhering to a particulate. So the more particulates you have, well, the more fuel to the fire you just added there. Okay. So now camera doesn't like this color too much, but there is your sandstorm, huge, coming off of Africa, all the way from here, all the way up to there, just blowing across the Atlantic, peppering South America with sand and dust, hazy skies and stuff for them. And it actually makes it over the Andes and comes out on the Pacific side. Okay. Going over to this region, you can still see we have these couple of spots over here. Still intense over here, up by the Caspian Sea. This little feature, that was pretty live just a little minute ago. Go back here for an hour. Nope, never mind. Go back to now. All right, cool. That one died down. All right. But a lot of the sand getting caught up with the winds, being blown way, way up here to the Arctic Circle and even up by the North Pole. Okay, it's not that they're having a sandstorm up there, but these particulates have made it all the way to the North Pole. Okay, we have sand and dust. A lot of it is made out of silica. Silica being holds a electric charge. Okay, that's why they use it for computer chips. So silica gets a static electric charge. It becomes not lighter than air, but almost lighter than air. It becomes much lighter than it usually is. Then you add our uptick in worldwide wind speeds, kicking up dust that's much lighter, and all of a sudden it's all over the place. This started back in November of last year, and then went all the way through the winter time, all the way through spring, summer, fall, and here we are, full year, almost a year and a half later, and it's still going. And it's spreading. These other regions are having their sandstorms, and even Australia has its own little independent dust storm, sandstorm going on out there in the outback. Alrighty, so there's your sandstorm report. Okay, just really quick and take you. These are particulates, okay, that raindrops stick to. Let's go through some of these sizes here. These are different size micron particulates. Okay, really quick, you can see these blow up over here in India. They blow up against the Himalayas and can't make it over, and they get concentrated in that region. So this region right here has a concentration of these size particulates, especially there, the foothills of these Himalayas. A little bit larger size particulate. Okay, comes out a little bit better when it's in red. Okay, now every single size, water adheres to them. Okay, so you got all kinds, different sizes of particulates all over the place out there. Let's get up to 10 micron really quick. All right, now it looks like it's bleeding, huh? And that shows the, the density of your particulates over in that region. Oh, now you can see the eyes. It's still there. I'm still watching. And you can see these are your bigger size particulates and how dense it is over here in Oman, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, all across the parts of Africa there. And it makes for hazy skies. Worldwide now it's starting to get really hazy skies. All right, so there's some of your particulates. Let's get into our SO2 report. Now, the reason why we do SO2 is because it's basically vaporized magma, okay? It's pushing on the underside of the crust, trying to come up through any perforation in the crust, but the crust and these pathways are so narrow and tiny that only the gas can come out. So you're seeing basically vaporized magma in the form of SO2 being pushed up through perforations in the crust. Now, you see, you've got old country divided here, one side bleeding out, very porous, spongy type crust, a lot of pathways, so it just oozes SO2, okay? Meanwhile, the west side, more rocky and mountainous with thicker kind of granite, so any perforations in the crust are more volcanic in nature, okay? So, there's your country divided. slowly reuniting as more and more people learn the truth. The truth will make you free. Let's get into our fires too, because well, these SO2 emissions sometimes spark fires, and our fire activity up here in Canada had blossomed for quite a while there, and it seems to have died down. A few little yellow ones here and there, but nothing like it was before. Okay, so that's a little bit of good news. Fires have died down there. A couple nights back, there were multiple fires in this region while having an Arctic blast, super cold air up there. So, how can you be having wildfires when it's minus 20 below zero? So it's definitely being caused by the SO2 emissions. Meanwhile, you're starting to see some SO2 emissions coming out of the west coast up here around Puget Sound area, coming down the Oregon coast here. And that doesn't look like it's coming being blown in from the coast. These are little individual sites coming down this volcanic range here, the Cascades, coming into the Bay Area. Look at this. We got some fires in the Bay and North Bay area now because of SO2 emission. It looks like that could be, wherever it's popping up. Maybe there's no foliage. There could be little structure fire or whatever. I'm not concerned about the red ones. It's these yellow ones that I'm more looking at. So looks to be we might have some of that activity happening up here at the Bay, up here, not the Bay Area. That's the Bay Area. My bad. Up here by Crescent City and stuff. Okay, my bad. It's not the Bay Area. Trying to look at one map and look at the screen and look back down. All right, there we go. Okay, meanwhile, we got a little patch over the Bay Area coming down here. Here's where our fire was before in Hollywood or Malibu area. Okay, all these fires are kind of gone out, but you can still see we have SO2 emission sites in the area. So any kind of round of pressure and we get a good blast out of these could spark more fires. Okay, as we look down through here, all this activity that was happening down in Mexico seems to have tapered for now, which is good. That's good. Whoops. I'm happy to take any kind of, what happened there? Any kind of good news we can get. All right. My bad. Okay, as we look, Mexico pitted with all kinds of volcanic areas and stuff. You see SO2 coming out of it. Cuba, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, all volcanic islands. Okay, come out here. You see all these islands out here. Spewing SO2 down into South America. These are all individual sites. Okay, this is not a plume that's blowing down the coastline. These are all there. Now, right here, this little curvature in Africa is the fulcrum point on our plate boundary system offshore here. Well, it created this structure here on land, and at that fulcrum point is a weak spot, okay? And here's the weak spot at the fulcrum point, emitting more SO2 than in the other area around it, okay? But we use this as a good indication of ebb and flow in our pressure. And right now, it kind of looks very similar to last night. It didn't look like much has changed since last night's report. So, still pretty good going out of that region. You see coming down here, darker, more intense. Okay, so the darker the color, more SO2, sulfur dioxide coming out of the ground. Enough so it makes a decent sized plume that goes out into the Pacific and some over here on the Atlantic as well. Okay, and this gas coming out of the ground is relieving pressure in the area, keeping magnitudes and earthquake activity down to a medium on this plate boundary system. Okay, and this is the one that's known for our bigger size quakes. So very important, this little venting system that the earth has of these perforations acting like a slow leak in a bicycle tube, each one bleeding out pressure. Okay, then as we come up here, we come into the hub of the Pacific Rim. Much like a bicycle rim, the Pacific Rim has a hub, and all that pressure that's underneath most of the plate has to come out in one little spot in the middle, and it's here in Hawaii. So you can see Oahu, strong SO2 emissions, even Maui, and Hawaii, of course, having its volcano as well, Kilauea, relieving pressure down below. And remember, everything's coming up from the core outward in all directions, pushing on the underside of the crust all around the world, all around the underside of the world. Let's get to their time zone really quick. Okay, we come on over here to the big bruise on the face of the planet, China. And when you understand the shenanigans they've been pulling, you can see why they're the bruise on the face of the planet. But, oh, if I'm cutting in and out, hopefully everything's coming out now. So, all right, back to the show. Very, very dark. That's very intense emissions coming out of China. They have very spongy type crust too, very porous. Over here, there used to be a body of water that compressed the ground down so tight and compact that it doesn't emit SO2. So we got this bald area where no SO2 comes out, and anything that wanted to come out in this region can't. So it comes out at the next easiest spot, the other path of least resistance. So that's why you see this big bubble of pressure over here and none there because it can't come out. So it comes out the next pathway. Okay, as we go around the world here, you see China very dark. I'd like to come in here and check on Taiwan. It's another relief valve on the plate boundary system. It's a fulcrum point area, and it's emitting SO2 on the populated side right there. Okay, as we kind of come up, you see Japan, being a volcanic island system itself, has SO2 emissions. North Korea, South Korea, not so bad right now, but up above there, all kinds of little spots bleeding SO2. Okay, even up into the Kamchatka region where we have all of our volcanoes going off up here. You can see this one right here on the very tip, and this is where we've been seeing a lot of our earthquake activity and constant activity out of this volcano there. Okay, I want to come back down to this region. See, the Philippines has its issues. Okay, really quick, we're going to go over to India. Again, you can see this gas pushes up against the Himalayas and can't make it over. So it gets very condensed and very concentrated in this area. Your particulates, your gas, everything that wants to clear out of the area can't. So it gets dammed up in that region. So that's not a very healthy region to be living because everything gets caught in that region right there and can't make it over. Okay, you can see the Middle East filling in as well. It's getting very dark over here. Lots of different perforations, okay? And some of these spots are emitting methane. Methane being a flammable gas under thousands of degrees, it's already at temperature for spontaneous combustion. It's just missing the oxygen component. So when this methane breaks free from the ground at thousands of degrees, it bursts into flame. So you're seeing SO2 emissions as well as methane emissions over in this region bursting into flame. Okay, so things are, still going crazy over there. Okay, and all this is just blowing all over the place. Up here, you can see Iceland, a couple of the volcanoes going off over here. See the strong emissions coming out of two different volcanoes right now up in Iceland. Okay, we just had the one. Remember, we were seeing curtains coming out of just one? Well, a couple weeks later, now we got two volcanoes spewing SO2, relieving pressure in that region as well. Okay. All right, now back down over here to Java. Okay, this is another relief valve on the planet. Lots of volcanic activity along this bar. It's almost like a sandbar or a volcanic bar. It's a volcanic ridge, and this whole thing connected together. So, a lot of SO2 emissions, a lot of volcanic activity, a lot of pressure being relieved out of that area, and it kind of keeps your thermals down in that region too. So, note how Sumatra here is turning purple. It's getting all this area filling in, and note the islands offshore here all starting to spew SO2. That's an indication pressure in the area is searching for any pathway of least resistance to get out to the surface. Looking down at Australia, it has all of its little perforations as well. Okay, then we come on over here. I'd like to stop off at this little island. We're gonna have to get the name of this island here in a day or two, but it usually has a couple of strong emission sites here and acts like a leaky tube, relieving pressure right here at the plate boundary entrance right here, where the plate boundary starts to erupt from the down below. Here's your deep quake region, Fiji, also spewing SO2. Fiji's a volcanic island, so No volcanic eruptions, but it's having SO2 emissions. Also out here is your new Home Reef Island. Okay, it was a seamount and it grew so tall that it punctured the surface of the water, and now it's an island. Okay, so we have islands forming because of volcanic activity on the ocean floor, pushing up all the way through the surface of the water, clearing the surface and becoming an island. Okay, now all that covered, let's get on into our thermals now. The ocean, and yay, we have updated thermals because we were to the 23rd. Now we have it updated to the 26th, which is much better because today was the 27th and this is usually a day behind. So back up to speed basically here. What I want to do is come over here because this is the area of concern that we've been watching lately. Note your LA region, okay? Still no patch of pressure in there. Good news to report there. As we come up the coast, we had that red bar of pressure that we saw coming along the west coastline right here that had built up. Notice it's blue now. We have cold water inundation, so less hot water coming out of the ocean floor, a little change in pressure, a little change in configuration. Meanwhile, up here in the Juan de Fuca, it's starting to build back up again, starting to fill in with red up here. Okay, and it's still pretty red right along the Canadian coastline here. Okay, we still have this open spot up here in the Gulf of Alaska. All right, and then all these little patches out here on the ocean floor. The vent that's always been here of Japan. Okay, look at North Korea. They're in hot water. South Korea, not so bad, but North Korea got hot water on both sides. And it's creeping up into this bay and stuff, all right? So we come on down. Here's Taiwan, okay? This is our fulcrum point on the plate boundary system. And here's an opening on the ocean floor here just north of Taiwan, creating this hot water plume. Now, whatever's coming out of the ocean floor via hot gas, magma, maybe even heavy metals, whatever is coming out of the ocean floor is very hot and it creates a column of hot water. The hot water doesn't disperse right down below, right there at the site. Hot water rises, and when it rises, it creates a column type effect. So this column of hot water comes from the ocean floor up to the surface, and when it hits the surface tension, the underside of the surface of the water, which is known as surface tension, that's when it blossoms out like a mushroom cloud in all directions. And that's where you see these blossom tops. These are hot water blossom tops from some kind of vent on the ocean floor. Okay, so they relate to pressure and activity in the form of hot water. Okay, that's how we're reading this map. It translates into pressure down below, pushing out magma, whatever. It could be hot water from down below that's coming out too. But there's an opening there, venting pressure, keeping our earthquake activity that usually was here down to a minimum. And now we're starting to see this increase here. You see this little red stripe coming up the backside of Taiwan here? Now we're starting to see quake activity on this side. Note our new region creeping up here. And if this little black little triangle part wasn't here, I'm sure we have red going right up to the land. There's probably red underneath it as well, right? So that's why we're seeing a little uptick on this plate boundary on this side of Taiwan. This is not relieving enough pressure. Other pressure's creeping in on the other side. Got another little opening going on along the Philippine coast there. Come on down. We look around. You can see our plate boundary system with all these volcanic islands coming down. Here's your little Pencil Island in Fiji. So there's some openings in this area on the ocean floor, creating some of these plumes. Look over here at Australia. Meanwhile, over here at Java relieves a lot of pressure by SO2 and volcanic activity. So it keeps the hot water buildup from building up so much. And when that happens, you get cold water inundation. Where there's no hot water, the cold water wants to rush in. So you got your cold water inundation because of pressure being relieved in this area. All right, we also have these down here. Okay, And all right, time to show it. We have these down here, big field of volcanic openings, little seamounts, cracks, little patches or whatever on the ocean floor. They're spewing hot water, steam, SO2, and methane emissions. Whatever is coming out at thousands of degrees and causing hot water plumes in that region. Here's the one on the South American side. Okay, it's changed in shape and structure. It's reaching more down this way. All right, you see that? And we had that fish die off here in Chile. It could be because of this new feature has reached in closer down here. Now, this shows me there's still pressure in this region, okay? But this path of least resistance, relieving a lot of pressure, and the size of it is also help keeping quake activity down and magnitudes down. But as we go into your plate boundary right along here, you're starting to see hot spots growing. There's a little leak right there. This is where your big quake was, right in this region. We've had a few of them here. A few of them here over the past couple of years. Okay, so this area has a little leak offshore. A couple new spots have changed and opened up, and it's one little change in configuration can throw wind patterns off. Okay, so there's that. Let's get on up here really quick. There's your Gulf of America anomalies. Okay, we got a couple of hot spots still growing. This one actually seems like it's kind of creating a fissure type effect. It was just a round spot. You see this almost like a straight line, linear type going there. I don't want to say a crack, but it almost looks like a crack is growing. Meanwhile, we come up through here. Look at all of this off the coast of Greenland. All right, we're in the middle of winter. This is some of the coldest water in the world up here. It's not supposed to be boiling hot. Okay. Here's Iceland. You can see our new volcanoes and all the pressure in the region pushing out magma or whatever on the ocean floor. This spot's getting bigger up here. All right, so then we come on over. You see these inner bodies are starting to have their activity as well. Also, really quick, here at the Great Lakes. Now, water in the summertime can warm up in these bodies, and they don't get a fresh flow or a refill of cold water all the time. So you will get pockets that will warm up and stuff in the summertime. But we're in the middle of winter right now. And these pockets right here are looking more and more like thermal pockets underneath your Great Lakes here, causing warmer waters than usual in the winter. Now we have that flow coming out of Canada coming across this. It's cold air hitting warm, moist air, and you're getting lake effect snow in all this region here in bigger amounts and stuff. And it's probably because of these thermal pockets that are growing underneath. And what's going on here? Look at this. Something growing off the coast here. Massachusetts, up here into Maine. Okay, so all kinds of thermal activity. We got some changes that have happened. All this on the west coast diminished, but we still got a little encroaching up here in the Juan de Fuca, and that'll translate over into our earthquake report here in just a moment. Let me go ahead and put the wind patterns on, quit twisting it all around. And what I want you to understand is over the warm patches, warm air accumulates. Over the cold patches, cool air accumulates. Warm air rises, cold air rushes in to replace it, and you're getting your rotation and your conveyor belt type structures. Your weather pattern is because of the heat structures on the ocean floor. Okay, and every time we see a new vent open up or something close up, there's a change in our conveyor belt structure. Now this effect has been affecting our weather for quite a while, and now it's finally fighting the lower jet stream. Okay, the lower jet stream and this are fighting each other, and one's starting to take a little dominance. So we're starting to see some of these storms that were just sitting here, roiling around and not doing anything kind of basically feeding an atmospheric river into a region, are now kind of feeding storms into the region. The lower jet stream is able to grab a hold enough of it and lead it along sometimes now. So we're starting to see that transition between this area at 850 and up at your 250 or your 500 at the lower jet. Okay. Just kind of take you around the world. There's those wind patterns. You see it going up and over into Canada, back down into here. Let's go into this area really quick. Okay, now do you see why your wind patterns are flowing the way they are? And you can see this mix right here. Let me pull back just a tad bit and get it right there is good. Okay, your cold air coming in, mixing with this warm, moist air from the Gulf coming up. And that's a deadly combination. You're going to see severe weather in this region, more of that icing and stuff. And on our weather model, when we were watching that big storm, the big question mark storm form, this is still that same pattern that can cause that type of activity. So all we need is a good earthquake or a different opening somewhere that can change the pattern up just a tad bit so it changes this configuration and we won't have such severe weather. But for right now, that's your flow pattern that we're in. Okay. Also here on the West Coast, this is yesterday, but you see wind is kind of coming more from north to south, not so much offshore in this region, keeping wind speeds in Santa Ana's down. But you also see rotation has changed up here. It's rotating around, coming back down. So this bubble right here is kind of protecting this whole area. Any kind of weather that wants to come through here hits this and goes up and over. So this configuration off the west coast of Washington, Oregon out here is kind of keeping that effect going. Also, while we're there, I just remembered we were the axial seamount. Okay, we were checking this spot right here. Let me go ahead and just put my little circle right there. So, okay, this is the top of the bottom of the Juan de Fuca plate boundary. Comes out parallel with this lower line. Comes out to right about here and then zigzags up through this region. Okay, and you can almost see the zigzag of the actual boundary where cold water is, and then now inside the Juan de Fuca plate is where your pressure and your heat is building and oozing out of that plate up there. Okay, this region right out here, I believe, is where our axial seamount is. Okay, so we saw a flare up there. And what I'm going to do is, okay, we're going backwards in time 1 day. See, minus 1 day. So as I click, we're going back a day. And this is the 26th sitting there. So we're going to the 25th, the 24th, the 23rd. Okay, so right about here, this little spot right here is right about where it is. It could be right in this region, okay? I want you to watch that as we go from the 23rd. Okay, the last data we had was here at the 24th, 25th, 26th. Did you just see that? Did you guys just see the uptick in pressure? Again, here's the 23rd, 24th, 25, 26. Okay, see this region kind of light up again some more, so pressure has increased in that area. And watch out, we'll probably have some quake activity in the Juan de Fuca here in the next few days, and we need some to relieve that pressure. Okay, so yeah, there was your little flare up. Okay, and that's of the 26th. Today is the 27th, so it could have reduced back down because you see it fluctuates. It's like the earth is breathing. The pressure builds and releases like it's breathing type effect. Okay, let me get that out of there. Now let's move on to our earthquake activity. That swelling of pressure building from below and coming up to the surface, hitting them plate boundary lines. Those are pathways of least resistance, right? So that's why we're seeing a lot more activity along plate boundary lines because they're the path of least resistance. And much like a broken piece of glass, a shattered piece of glass that is still in one piece, it hasn't fallen apart, but it's still all shattered, will break along the lines that are already cracked. Okay, they're paths of least resistance. Okay, so let's come on into our deep quake region here, just nice and slow. Computer's kind of just thankful it's working. All right, we got 2 quakes here in our deep quake region. This first one is a 4.7 down at 526. The second one is a 4.4 down at 536. So our typical deep quake region, typical deep quake is a mid-range 4, a 4.5, okay? So we're seeing a 4.4, which is basically 4.5, pretty close, at 536. So there's our typical activity. Now add another one, a stronger than average 4.7, down around the same depth. So we got a double click and a little uptick down deep. It triggered some activity down here. We got a 5.8 here on the Kermadec Island region. Okay, so this is at 10. This is on the plate boundary. That is a definite uptick in magnitude, especially for this region right here. We haven't seen a quake in here in a minute. So there you go with a good 5.8 in that region. And that wasn't it. There was more. There was a 4.8 a little further down on this little ridge. This little mountainous ridge runs down here, has volcanic features on it, and this is the flank of it going down to the plate boundary, the crack in the ocean floor. So on the flank of that is your 4.8 down in there, volcanic in nature. Coming up through here, pressure being relieved here. We did see a couple quakes here finally, but nothing tonight. We come up here, 4.6 at the surface, grabbing energy, 4.2, 57, 4.9, 131. Where these 2 plate boundaries intersect, there's a weak spot right here. Okay, and you can see all the volcanic islands that have grown in this area, these sea mounts in this weak area, pushing up through the ocean floor, creating islands. We can get a good shot right there. All right, see this one sticking out right here. Okay, its little base is right here, just off that base, down here on this. You're 4.9 down at 131. There's another little sea mount or something down in here. A little pathway of least resistance trying to push something up through the crust right there, and it can't, so it's firing off a little pressure down below there. Over here really quick, we got a little different spot here. 4.6 at Masamba, Indonesia. Okay, that's a different little spot right there. 4.5 down at 43 there. Nothing up through here. Here we are at Taiwan again, and instead on the fulcrum point side, where we're used to seeing them up in this tight little pocket, here we are on this side again at this plate boundary. And Taiwan starting to have quake activity, uptick in quake activity here at Taiwan again. 4.2 down at 14. That's a surface type quake right there. And I showed you temperature encroaching in that region. This backside red bar right here encroaching on this side of Taiwan, and now we're starting to see earthquake on this side of Taiwan. Now this is kind of dangerous because this side of Taiwan, this plate boundary, you see how it runs all the way up, all the way the whole length of the island, right? Let me kind of zoom into this region right in here because this is really densely populated area. Okay. This whole side just kind of goes on and on and on. Some of this is fields and stuff, but as we pull back, there's more towns and cities all through this region. So this whole side, Taiwan here, has a lot of population, and we're starting to see volcanic activity on this side. Let's see where this thing actually landed at. What's the volcanic feature or something here? Well, you can still see little communities, little roads, all kinds of life in the area. 4 point down there. Okay, so we're going to have to get, and right close to the plate boundary right there. So, little alert for Taiwan. Watch out, you guys. You're having an uptick in earthquake activity and in magnitudes there. So, we're going to have to watch that region. A little alert for that area. Everybody be on their toes there. Meanwhile, over here, 5-2 in the Northern Mariana Islands, down at 134. You can see this little mountainous chain, little seamount chain, bunding out right here. So a little seamount down below there, 5-2. Energy coming up through little things. Finally a quake in this little pit area here. These sometimes are really deep, but not tonight. A 4.7 at the surface, scrubbing energy here. We also have the volcano in this region. It had some earthquake activity there recently, so relieving pressure in that region. Coming over here, nothing on the fulcrum point, but we do have here at Tibet, here in Nepal, where we've had our big quake and new path of least resistance here. We got our 4.9 at the surface. You know what we do with 4.9s here. How many 4.9s do we see? So every once in a while, we give them a little uptick, because sometimes I believe they're a little stronger. 4 here at the surface on the other side of the Gobi Desert here. You can see that this was a body of water. It's all compressed down, and now it's a desert. The weight of the water sitting on that for a long time has, compacted the seabed so densely and so hard that once it dries out, it just turns into basically cement. And that's where you're not seeing any SO2 emissions out of there because of that. As we look around, nothing through Africa. This whole volcanic system and everything over here has kind of calmed down for a while, so that's good news. Nothing up through Europe and stuff. But down here on a plate boundary, we have a 4.6 on the South Indian Ridge. Over here. Okay, so we had that hot spot. Remember I showed you that hot spot that's growing out there? And we saw that little arm of heat coming in. I wonder if this plate boundary right here is leaking. Because we have a 5.7 here at the plate boundary and a 5.2 right there. Those are bigger magnitudes now for this region. We haven't seen this kind of magnitude here in a minute because so much pressure being relieved SO2 wise. Really quick. 4.1, here's your other big quake region right there. The weak spot, 5.0 at the surface there. Okay, really quick, let's go back over here, this spot off of South America. Okay. You see how this kind of zigzags down and comes into this little notch, this bay region right there? I'll let you be the judge, okay? You guys are pretty smart. You can put 2 and 2 together. We're having earthquake activity here at this open vent site here, up here. Because there's so much pressure in the region, it's finally causing some decent magnitude. And note how this isn't on this plate boundary. It's not on this one. It's way out here. So that's that heat plume. Telling you, we weren't seeing activity out here until that thing started to blossom and get bigger. Let's see. Do we cover everybody else before we go America? Let's go all magnitudes. America. All right. You guys probably hate when I do that. All right. Now fulcrum point quakes, volcano activity. Finally, a microquake way out here. Not much. 1.3. I want to see magnitude in this region. 2.5 there. You see these red ones that are current. Okay, right here. 2.0. And this other one right here, 2.5. And this one right here. Okay, just some small ones right here. This is this patch of heat. Come here, you. Oh, really? Right up here in this region. Kind of bleeding out on the other side of the island. There was a little red glowing over here, too. You see, well, get the coloration just right. So it is kind of creeping underneath this peninsula here. Okay, and then when we come back here, here's some of that quake activity close by. We'll probably see a little bit of uptick in that region maybe. Here's a 2-1 is your current activity. Other side of the fulcrum here is a 3. Haines, Alaska. All right, very quiet around the Juan de Fuca. Now we're starting to see activity at these volcanoes up here. Okay, right at the top of Rainier is a quake. It's not much, but it's a quake. At the top of Mount St. Helens is a quake. It's not much, but it's a quake. All right, so those are indications of pressure down below coming up through volcanic channels, causing earthquakes at the tip of the volcano. Okay, indication of pressure in the region. Coming down into your fulcrum point region here. Sorry, I'm all over the place tonight. All right, coming into your fulcrum point region 30 down at 25 on the lower plate 1923 21 and right on the barrier 15. So altogether, a little bit of energy being relieved right there at the fulcrum point, and we're going to need more of that activity, maybe even out here to relieve that pressure so that seamount doesn't pop. Right, every time there's an earthquake, it relieves a lot of that pressure down below. And when we come over to this region, let's just touch base with it really quick. Okay, so there's your point coming off the side of California here, right there. Okay, so temperature in that area is filling in this whole plate, all right, and even starting to creep into the shoreline there. So inside this Juan de Fuca plate, let me show you, comes out, zigzags up right through this blue line. So everything inside there is starting to heat up. We're starting to see pressure in that region pushing hot water up through that plate. So a little earthquake warning for this region. Okay, probably see a quake, not too big. Okay, but we do need a mid-range 4 to a 5 at most. We don't want to see magnitudes too high that do damage, but decently high to relieve some pressure. So it's a fine balance, We want something mid-range 4 to 5, which relieves a lot of pressure but doesn't cause a tsunami, all right? And if we have these gradual reductions of mid-range 4s and 5s relieving pressure, we won't have a big devastating 8 or 9, okay? But you can see increase in pressure in that region, so a little alert for this area, and you can see the reason why. Also, I want to touch base with this region over here. It's had a little activity here at Stanley, Idaho, I believe. Clayton, Idaho. 4.2 at the surface here. 1.3. Yeah, they're pretty small, but this feature right here, something going on in here. Down below these mountains here. Take that out of there. What's this little spot? Open pit mine. Now this looks more like in the depth. Yeah, this is more down underneath these mountains. Has nothing to do with that little pit mine. Because this little guy out here is part of it too. So something going on, a little pressure down below this region here in Idaho. Okay, pressure probably growing along this shoreline, pushing under the land too. Let's come back in here really quick. This is 2-1 up there. Got your geysers going off. A couple of valley quake at 2-3 there. The San Andreas kind of quiet. The maximum 2.2 magnitude. You're seeing quake activity on the Pacific side, on the Pacific plate. Current magnitude 1 there. So a little bit of activity still rumbling through this area. And it tells me there's pressure building on below here on this eye structure. See it going along the edge. And when we're seeing ones out here in the water and close to the shore here inside the middle of this eye structure, I'm feeling something starting to build under here. We might see a little uptick in pressure and coloration in this region here, and the next day on the map in this region, we might see a little uptick because that's right on the edge of that eye-type structure, that eyeball-type structure right there. Back and forth, all over the place. When's he going to shut up and do the spiritual report? I heard that. All right. 3-0 in Texas. We got to check magnitudes every once in a while. Uptick in magnitudes like that. Just to kind of monitor the situation. Okay, a couple of oddball quakes out here. We had this one here. Reno, Ohio. All right. I live really close to Reno, but not in Ohio. So that's interesting. Let's go in deeper and see what our little ground feature effect is. Why? It's a nice windy river right here, winding around. Water does seep down and below into the strata underneath rivers and stuff, does kind of creep down, creating a weak spot in the crust. After years and years of erosion, it would cause a little crack, go down deeper into the crust. So little fulcrum points, bends on a corner like this on a river. Wouldn't surprise me to see a little earthquake activity like that, especially so close to the surface. I would almost call that a diverse quake if it weren't for this river and that nice little bend, and just the topographicals say, no way, that's not a oddball quake. Then we come out here. What was going on here in Maine? All right, we saw some temperature encroaching in this area, didn't we? And here we have a 3.8 with a tsunami alert. I'm sorry, not that. I don't think we're going to have a tsunami with a 3.8. Okay. At 13, the depth, no. But people out here get, a little overexcited, don't they? And look at this. We have islands right here off the coast. Wish we could get good. I just want it really quick. Let's just see what the tsunami alert said really quick. I want to see this. What their magnitude might be a little bit different here. If we can, Lord, please. Yes, please. 4.1. Okay, so 4.1 is enough to, 3.8, 4.1. That's enough to scare these people into tsunami alert, okay? But you can see there's a little island here. So this is in between this little island chain here. And if we go over here to our thermals really quick, I just want to take a peek at what's going on in that region. Really? Same spot? Give me a better. We're right above that. Oh, whoops. So, right above your. Oh, that spot. Okay. So here's your peninsula coming off of Massachusetts, Connecticut here. Here's the bay. There's your hotspot region. And there you go. No wonder why they're having quakes there. So there's your diverse quake. Now, it's not on a plate boundary. It's not a, don't really see a lot of volcanic seamounts. We have these little islands here. So, but you can't really see the footing of them. Yeah, there might be a little bit of something going on right here. A little seamount opening causing a 4.1 to rumble. So pressure in that region building offshore here, creating a 4.1 pretty close to the surface. And you can see why, because, well, we have a new round of heat, a new blob of heat pressure in that region. So little earthquake warning for this region. Expect to see a little uptick in activity. Okay, maybe nothing too big, but a little uptick in activity. So there's your diverse quake right there because of the heat plume underneath. That's what's causing diverse quakes. It's because of this new aspect of magma pushing on the underside of the crust causing our quake activity now. More so than plates grinding together, subduction zones and lift and all that stuff. Nah, it's more along the weak zones because of pressure down below. All right, Well done, class. You guys are hanging in there. Everybody need to go to recess. Anybody got to go to the bathroom? Because we're getting into the volcanic report here. All right, so 37 erupting and 39 in warning. That is together 76 current volcanoes. See this? See UFOs and Jesus in the same painting? This is historical paintings of, UFO activity happening around the Father, the Son, I mean. So 37, 39, 76, 37 years ago when this started happening, there was one volcano. The idea of 76 volcanoes sounded crazy. But if I told you back then, 7 years from now, we're going to have 76 volcanoes, you would have said you're crazy. Well, here we are, 7 years later, 76, and I am still crazy about you. Let's get into it, shall we? Yeah, why would people paint these depictions from long ago? Maybe there's something to it. The watchers, recognizing they're watching somebody. Man, this guy has a serious problem. He needs to go to Oil Anonymous. You can take a shot, but don't be chugging it like that. Ibu, IBU, red triangle on a white map. Semeru, Nevada del Ruiz. Kind of hard to see anything with all the clouds. It's just a red triangle on white. So here we go. Ibu, IBU. I be with you at 8,000 feet. Tonight we're at 8,000 chilling together. Cool. Now here we are at Semeru on the island of Java. Our main relief valve pushing 15,000 blasts tonight. Some pressure being relieved there, I would say. Ducono, 8,000 feet. Santo Guido, 14,000. Nevada del Ruiz, still going, but no VA. Reventador, 14,000. That's a decent blast. And that's just in the last few minutes, okay? Because here's today, which is now yesterday, because, well, time flies here at this channel, okay? Quit planting bananas. You're not going to grow monkeys, all right? Here's your map of insanity. There used to be one little red triangle, so no reason for a map. Well, here we are 7 years later, and we have a map of insanity. Look at all the red triangles on there. Those are ones that are in eruption, okay? In eruption. Red triangle. Crazy. Note your activity going up through our plate boundary system, up through here. Active volcanoes, erupting volcanoes, relieving pressure through that region, keeping the quakes and magnitudes down in that region. Okay, that's why I say that. Meanwhile, up here at the Kamchatka, we can't do it on this map. We have all these volcanoes that are currently going off. Shivelush, Kluchevskoy, Bizimani, Karaminsky, Alade, and Ebico. All of those are red. Okay, so a lot of pressure being relieved with all these volcanoes too. Note up here, we have two up in Iceland that are, well, sometimes they're red, sometimes they're both yellow, but note Tonga here, Home Reef. We got two volcanoes, one in yellow. You can't see it, but it's the Tonga one. And then our new island, Home Reef, currently erupting. Kilauea currently erupting. Activity growing here in the Alaskans and the Aleutians, okay? All the way down here, and don't forget, we have currently erupting volcanoes on the continent of Antarctica. One volcano. Okay, back to the show. Looky there. That's a big old blast of ash going up in the air. Think of all the particulates that are in there and all the raindrops that can be made from all those little ash particles. And then they get caught up in the wind and blown around the world. And then people start reporting weird fog, really dense fog with a lot of particulates in it. Wonder why. Here's Kilauea going through eruption, cooling off, having a second round. Okay, so little swells and pressure down below cause activity at volcanoes, and then it reduces, and then has a second little comeback. Okay, Sakurajima, 10,000 feet. Cannelone, Ash Plumes Road, 3.3 kilometers. Ibu, I be with you at 8,000. Luatobi. Okay, Semeru again, 15,000. Kilauea, 6 eruptive periods. Okay, so since December of 2024, Kilauea has 6 eruptive periods where it erupts, it subsides. It erupts, it subsides. Those 6 eruptive periods kind of correlate in with the Iceland eruptive periods because of these ebbs and flows and pressure from down below coming to the surface. Okay. Popocatépetl, 19,000 feet, right there next to Mexico City. 19,000-foot blast, ash all over that place. Santa Guido, 14,000. Nevada del Ruiz, 21,000. And here is your map in list form. Currently erupting. Okay, this is why you don't see it on the mainstream media, because all of these are currently erupting. These are in eruption warning. They are active. Even though it says minor activity, any kind of activity at a volcano is not minor. It's activity. So active volcano, very active volcano. Altogether, they are active volcanoes, 76 active volcanoes, if not erupting volcanoes. Yeah. And to you guys, it's just a bunch of red names on 2 little lists. But for anybody who didn't know what was going on, they would see this and go, no, you gotta be crazy. That's not happening. You're joking. And I would say, no, I'm just crazy about you. Okay, so there's your volcano report. Now, let's get into our tidbits. Everybody, cheer up. You're getting tidbits. All right? Hold out your hands. Little tidbit time. Get your little tidbits, everybody. And for you guys who like models, well, I'm sorry, these are forecast models. All right, my little spiel. Okay, current conditions. Remember, thermal activity in the ocean makes water evaporate into the air, increasing your water vapor content, your percentage of water vapor in the air. So the air can hold more water. You add all the particulates into that air. Now all that water clings to all those particulates. More water, more particulates, heavier downpours, deeper snow, taller thunderheads, stronger storms, everything that comes with weather. Every little aspect that comes with weather is increased by this activity. Increasing winds as well, driving temperatures down, creating all kinds of different atmospheric effects, as well as your spiritual realm taking its little turn at it too. Okay, current conditions, here we go. Morning of the 28th, noon, convection, nighttime. So just basically snow flying through this region right here. Does cross some of the Great Lakes regions. So even though it's not showing snow in some of these, you might get lake effect snow because I showed you those heat plumes that grew in there. I don't think they're factoring in that quite yet. So convection tomorrow, nighttime tomorrow, morning of the 29th, noon, convection, nighttime. Okay, so here's the beginning of this whole monster system that's going to come together here. So we are getting very close to this whole thing being very accurate. If we have the setup this close away and it's right here, boom, that's the convection of the 29th. So we're already going into the 28th. This is well within your 3-day. Okay, so now this is more accurate. You're going to see cold air slam way down into New Mexico, down here into Arizona. It's going to mix with that warm, moist air coming off of the Gulf of America there, okay? Let me pull this down just a tad bit better for you guys. All right, so we are now going to see this come to fruition in close to similar fashion that we're seeing. Okay, starting here now at the convection, it goes nighttime. Whoops. No. Hang on. I hit the wrong button. If we do it too fast, I'm not going to catch it all. All right, so noon the 29th, noon tomorrow after, okay, so afternoon comes your enhanced hatch risk right here, Oklahoma, Texas border right through there. Cold air, little patch of ice in the middle there is the beginning of this storm right here. Now, as we go nighttime into the morning time hours, this is where colder air mixing with this warm, moist air cold air in the morning hours. There's your QLCS, and the red stripe, and there's your enhanced risk. Okay, it just doubled your chances in there. And now I believe here on the 29th, in the morning hours, you're going to see severe weather and possible tornadoes catching people off guard in the early morning hours through this area, going through Texas, Oklahoma, up Arkansas. Now watch as we continue. This is the morning. There's noontime. Okay, that's a pretty major, widespread, quasi-linear convective storm front, this QLCS right here. I want you guys to get familiar with that term. There's the convection, or the afternoon, when things blossom the most. Nighttime, it gets colder air in there. You see this comma-shaped rotation starting to form already. That's dangerous because we get severe weather on the backside of this. This might catch people off guard. This thing is organizing way too quick. See how it went from this? There's hardly any rotation there to a nice comma shape. There is your morning of the 31st. You're seeing ice shoving up into New York, up into here, Great Lakes region, all the way back around with this quasi-linear with the little pop-ups. Okay, those pop-ups that can pop up out in front of these quasi-linear storms are the dangerous ones. So here's your storm already getting kind of organized, moving through there. A little bit of ice up here still, and then moving out by the convection of the 31st. Nighttime the 31st, well, moving out by the nighttime of the 31st. Then we go morning of the 1st, noon, convection, severe weather on the coastline here. You see this approaching the coastline. This could be potential for water spouts making landfall. Okay, severe weather. You could see a tornado over the water, and it could make landfall there, even in wintertime. That's the convection of the 1st, nighttime. Morning of the 2nd, noon, convection, the 2nd. There's the morning of the 3rd, noon, convection, nighttime, the 4th, noon, convection, nighttime, the 5th, noon, convection, nighttime, 6th, noon. Here we go with this event here, icing right there by noon, the 6th, convection, nighttime, 7th. Okay, that whole monster storm that we had seen last night has changed now. Okay, so a different little pattern here. Ice going through Pennsylvania and New York a couple of times there. There's the noon of the 7th, convection, nighttime, morning of the 8th, noon, convection, nighttime, morning of the 9th, noon, convection, nighttime, 10, noon, convection, nighttime, 11. Again with this pattern, you see that? Back up again. These two air masses come together, they kiss, boom, and then they start making little ice babies here. Severe weather in between. Okay, this is another one of these air mass collisions causing severe weather in the morning hours. This is the morning of the 11th, noon, convection, again with the ice going up through Pennsylvania and New York again, nighttime, morning of the 12th, noon, convection, nighttime. All right, that's about it. So there's your next round. I'm concerned about is right here, this next little round coming through there. And then the big monster storm around the 5th and 6th and 7th has changed configuration and doesn't look so much like that crazy looking question mark shaped storm, but it still can have that component of ice storm and high winds and stuff mixed together. So that's going to knock out power for a lot of people. And if you watch this, let's see if we can get one more zoom in right here. Watch the New York, Pennsylvania area as this loop plays one more time here. You're going to see that region's going to get hit multiple times with ice and stuff. So a lot of people in that region, right there's a bad one. And then here comes another one right through the same region. Okay, so that region Everybody there, prepare for, long duration storm, ice event that's going to put down, healthy amounts of snow. It's going to knock out power. So you probably want to get prepared ahead of schedule, because once the ice gets down on the road, you can't really go out and move around and function too well until it's all gone. Okay, so prepare for a couple of rounds here in the East Coast area. You see our wind pattern that I had shown you on the thermals, and this is a direct result. You're seeing these air masses collide in severe weather along that whole strip coming together. All right, so there is your astrophysics, your geophysics, your whole weather report and everything. And now we're going to move on to the spiritual report. Give me 1 second here. Let's take a second to absorb that map. No, we're working on. Give me just a second here. All right. So yeah, more particulates, stronger storms, longer lasting storms, deeper snow, all kinds of side effects that come along with more particulates and stuff. And then also, you got your strange fog. You also have SO4, which we didn't cover tonight, but SO4 emissions that combine with water to create sulfuric acid too. So a lot of acid in some of these storms. All right, moving away from all those topics and getting off that irritating topic discussion into something a little bit better. All righty, so last night I gave you a little testimony of when I refer to all this started happening to me 7 years ago. So we did a little dot work last night, kind of helping you guys understand more about me, because I already know all about you. So we'll learn more about me. All right, we're going to pull up some of these images here. Get a couple more going here for my plan. Channel here. That one. Okay, so you seen that little stamp in the crop circles there? There's a good example of the configuration I'm talking about here. Also, I'll pull up. Where did that go? All right, we'll probably have to endure an ad really quick. Please, Lord, no ad. Ew, lady screaming at you. Didn't need that, you guys. Come on now. YouTube, really? Funny how their ads are just longer and longer and longer. All right, so here we go. Let this play really quick here until the zooming part. We'll capture this frame. We'll do some reading to this. Might as well give it some sound. On this face, because forming in the clouds what looked like a face over here, and I'm going to start zooming in on. That's good right there. Okay. Main captures this part right here. Okay. This faces in the clouds been following me everywhere I go, watching me, studying me, and now the faces have changed into my face in the clouds, and it's being projected by Jesus's heart here. If you see Jesus wearing some sunglasses here, pulling open his shirt, exposing his heart, his rays are radiating out, making my face in the sky with a crown. So you understand how all this is happening, okay? And where it comes from. It comes from the Holy of Holies. From that heart right there. Okay, and then we also had this event happen here really quick. We'll get into giant face by the moon here. I want to just show a little. That this is, an elaborate hoax, and pretty elaborate if you can get a giant face that's the size of the moon out there by NASA. That's an amazing stunt you just pulled. If that was you. All right, I'm trying to pull up the part in this video where they're actually playing the video here.
Recording device right here. This is the normal reflection, like if you were out recording the full moon.
Crispy face. Hey, somebody got another phone? So I don't want
All right, here we go.
On your recording device. What they've
It's a
got,
face. Everybody's out here.
what they've got going on there.
Everybody's out here looking. We're coming out here to see. But I gotta get this.
Woke these folks up.
Y'all see that?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Now, hold up. Let me zoom so everybody can see it. Nice. Zoom on it. Hey, y'all need to call somebody.
Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Tell them we're out here, what we're looking at. Now, y'all see this. You see it, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there it is. That's a nice, crispy face. Hey, somebody got another phone? So I don't want to be the only one recording this.
See the eye looking up?
Yeah, you gotta get this,
According to this
Oh, really, you guys? So you can't even see more than, what, 1 minute of video without an ad? Seriously, you guys. Greed is
the dog,
overtaking.
even the dog's tripping.
1:45 in the morning. Okay, so here.
All right, so this event, this gentleman had seen this activity before. He actually went out and invested in one of these expensive P1000, P900 cameras where you can see the surface of the moon. And with that expensive camera, he was able to capture this. He probably so rattled after catching this, he doesn't take much video of this moon effect anymore. Okay, because when you see something like this will really change you. Okay, this guy's probably not the same anymore after capturing this. And most of those people there that witnessed it too are probably really rattled. They don't understand what's going on. They're not part of this family yet. Okay, but for you guys, understand that's my face showing up next to the moon. There would be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. Okay, I show you signs in the sun and the spirit in the astrophysics report, right? And I show you signs by the moon here too. Okay, so there's my face that showed up at this time frame while we were doing the spiritual report. And the funny part about it is I got this book light and I turn it on here so I can see what I'm reading to you guys, and it shines on half my face like that. Okay, so that was captured at this moment while we're doing the spiritual report. I guess some other people were getting in on it too. They just couldn't hear the report. Okay, let's drop some of the notes. Okay. Okay, so I know what's going through your guys' head, all right? So many amazing things happen with all this that I get to know what's going on in your guys' head. So I get to use that to help you in return. Okay, it's not like I'm sneaking into your private thoughts or nothing. I hear your concerns and your prayers. Okay, so, and when we're doing that, a lot of times you guys are overthinking things. Okay, remember, things are simple. A lot of this is simplicity. Okay, it's complex, but a lot of it is just very simple stuff too. Okay, so beware of overthinking things, obsessing about unimportant matters. Okay, a lot of us obsess about unimportant matters. Oh, what's this going to be? What's that going to be? You're tripping about the future. Okay, so you're obsessing about unimportant matters. Okay, so when your mind is idle, you tend to go into planning mode. We all do. When your mind goes idle, we all tend to go into planning mode, attempting to figure things out and make various decisions before you really need to do so. We're kind of future planning, making decisions before you even really need to do so. Circumstances might change in the next few hours and might change your plans, right? So attempting to figure things out and make various decisions before you really need to do so can be overthinking things, okay? So be aware of overthinking things and obsessing about unimportant matters. This is an unproductive way of trying to grasp control, and it's a waste of your precious time. Often, you end up changing your mind or forgetting what you decided in the first place. Okay, how many times have we just kind of changed our mind or even forgotten what we decided? So it's unimportant matters, but there is a time for planning, but it's definitely not all the time or even most of it. Okay, because you often end up forgetting or changing your mind, forgetting what you decided. Okay, so the trick is to seek to live in the present moment where my presence awaits you continually. All right, my presence awaits you continually. What else have I got here? So, when you seek to live in the present moment and you're where my presence awaits you continually. So when you seek to find me in that present moment, you can refresh yourself in my nearness, letting my love soak into your innermost being. That was this one, my bad. There we go. Okay. Letting my love soak into your innermost being. All those nooks and crannies, all the fear and everything, all the anxieties. Refresh yourself in my nearness. Let my love soak into your innermost being. Relax with me, putting aside problems so you can be attentive to me and receive more of my love. Your soul thirsts for me, but often you don't realize what you're really longing for. Awareness of my presence. Doesn't awareness of my presence bring all kinds of wonderful things? So your soul thirsts for me, but often you don't realize what you're longing for. What you're really longing for is awareness of my presence. So let me lead you beside the quiet waters and restore your soul. Just as lovers don't need to say much to communicate deeply, so it is in your relationship with me, the lover of your soul. Okay, where's that other one? One I dropped on the floor. Um, okay, so we're overthinking things sometimes, all right, and we're future tripping. Gotta be in the present moment, okay? So beware of overthinking things and try not to be terrified or discouraged by what you see out there in the media. Okay, remember you're plugging in, you can unplug when you need to, all right? So don't be terrified or discouraged, for I am with you wherever you go. Okay, it's easy for my followers to feel frightened and pessimistic when the mainstream voices in this world speak so heavily against them. You feel like the voices in the media of the world been speaking heavily against you a little bit sometimes, even though we see some victories and stuff. So for my followers, it can feel frightening and pessimistic when mainstream media voices in this world speak heavily against believers. It weighs heavily on you too sometimes. I don't like to hear them talking about good people like that, right? So when these people are looking at this life through godless, biased lenses, it will indeed pull you down. So you got to be careful how long you plug into that stuff. If it starts to get to you, looking at life for these godless bias lenses that the mainstream media will indeed pull you down. So Christian courage is the antidote to this poisonous input, and it is nourished by the knowledge that I am always with you. So now we've seen this little flip in our paradigm here, haven't we? And now you're starting to see Christian courage rise up in our society. And it's that Christian courage which is the antidote to the poisonous input from the mainstream voices. See how that all works out, ties together right there? So it's your guys' Christian courage that's the antidote to the mainstream media. And your Christian courage is nourished by the knowledge that I am always with you. So you have nourishment knowing that I'm with you. It's crucial to remember that what you can see of reality is only a small piece of the whole. Okay, now here you're seeing more pieces of the whole. All right, what's beyond regular reality that you see with your eyes and stuff. So it's crucial to remember that what you can see of reality, like the physical world and mainstream media and the mass psychosis that's going on, is only a very small piece of the whole. Where's the other one I have here? Oh yeah, this one. Okay, so as we're kind of going through this new paradigm, you realize that there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. So when you seek my face and my will, searching for guidance, I may show you the next step on your journey without revealing the appointed time for you to take that next step. Okay, so I may show you the next step on your journey, but not reveal the appointed time to take that step. So you see the step, you know what the next step on your journey is, but you don't know the appointed time. So most people just go launching right in. But instead of going full speed ahead, as soon as you know what it is, you must wait until I show you when I want you to go forward. So there is a reason for everything. And this means that even the most fulfilling times in life must eventually give way to something new. Whereas some of my followers chomp at the bit to forge ahead into new territory, others hold back even when I'm clearly directing them to go forward. Okay, so some followers chomp at the bit to forge ahead, while others hold back when I'm directing you to move forward. So, moving from a comfortable season of life into a new situation can feel scary, especially to those who dislike change. That's most of us. Most of us like nice, secure, mundane routine. We don't like change because it feels scary. It's the unknown. So moving from a comfortable position or comfortable season in life into a new situation always feels a little bit scary, okay? Especially to those who dislike change. That's why I want you to trust me enough to cling to me and follow wherever I lead, whenever I choose. Remember, your times are in my hands. Okay, and don't be terrified or discouraged. I'm with you wherever you go. That too. Okay, yeah, we'll do a couple more. Okay, you guys are overcoming the world by using these techniques, okay? You're using these disciplines. Practicing a discipline makes it one a disciple. So you're having results with these tools, and you're realizing that all things are possible with me. So let these powerful words light up your mind and encourage your heart. Refuse to be intimidated by the way things look at the moment. I am training you to live by faith and not by the sight of the world, okay? When it says not by sight, that means not by what you see in the physical world, okay? That's what's got everybody misled and believing science. But you can use sight, okay? Your faith gives you sight. We'll get to that here too in a minute. So I want you guys to understand all things are possible with me. Refuse to be intimidated by the way things look at the moment. I am training you to live by faith and not by sight. And the sense of sight is a spectacular gift from me to be used joyfully and gratefully. However, it's easy to be mesmerized by all the visual stimulation surrounding you and thus forget about me. I understand all the visual stimulation going on around you. It's sensory overload. That's why you need to reconnect with me. So your sense of sight is a spectacular gift from me, okay? Now, it's easy to get mesmerized by all the other visual stimulation surrounding you, which makes you forget about me, but that I understand. Now, faith is a type of vision that connects you to me. Faith is a type of vision that connects you to me. Well, a lot of people can't see this. They don't see it, but you do. Your faith gave you the sight to see this. If you didn't know and you had no faith, you would just see some clouds there. So this sense of sight that's a spectacular gift is a type of vision that connects you to me. So instead of being so focused on the visible world, dare to trust me and my promises. My visual gift promises, okay? So there's a different type of sight. Okay, there's your spiritual sight and your regular looking at the physical world. Faith is a type of vision that connects you to me. Instead of being focused on the visible world, dare to trust in me. Dare to trust in me and my promises. So, try to live close to me, your Savior and friend, but remember, I am also infinite God. When I live on your planet, my miraculous signs reveal my glory, and my disciples put their faith in me. Okay? When I live on your planet, my miraculous signs reveal my glory, and my disciples, that's you, put their faith in me. I continue to do miracles in your world according to my will and purposes. So seek to align your will with mine and to see things from my perspective. Exert your faith to ask for big things and watch and hope for me to work. Okay? Exert your faith to ask for big things that are according to my will and purposes, and then watch and hope for me to work. No, that's a different lesson here. What was the other one that kind of dovetailed to this? Yeah, I think we will close with this one right here, or maybe two closers. Yeah, we might have two closers here. All right, just real quick again, with the Christian life, okay, is all about trusting me in good times and in hard times. I am Lord over all your circumstances, so I want to be involved in every aspect of your life. You can quickly connect with me by affirming your confidence in me here and now. And when your world seems dark and you trust me anyway, my light shines brightly through you. Your display of transcendent faith weakens spiritual forces of evil. What weakens spiritual forces of evil? Your display of this transcendent faith. Okay? My supernatural light is showing through you and blessings and strengthens people around you. That's where I want to stop right there and hold for a second. Oh no, Hopkinson. I saw Hopkinson earlier tonight, and she was chatting with somebody, and she helped this person. She turned their day around, and she did the very thing that we've been practicing here, and she saved this lady's day. She rescued this lady's day. I saw it in the chat. She said, "Oh, thank you." And it just came naturally. She was using that filter, and that supernatural light was showing through her, and it blessed and strengthened the people around her. So, just like you guys are doing, my supernatural light is showing through you and blessing and strengthening the people around you. So, cling to me in the dark, and clinging to me in the dark requires you to persistently exert your willpower. So, it's not just a little here, sometimes there. It's persistently exerting your willpower. So, clinging to me in the dark requires you to exert your willpower, okay, to cling to me. But while you're grasping onto my hand, remember, my hand has an eternal grip on yours, and I will never let go of you. So, my spirit helps you keep hanging on. When you feel on the verge of giving up, cry out for my assistance. You can say, "Help me, Holy Spirit," all kinds of little prayers, whatever your favorite is. Help me, Jesus, help me, Holy Spirit. This simple little prayer enables you to tap into my limitless resources. And even when your circumstances look dark and threatening, my light is still shining on in surpassing splendor. Okay, my light is still shining on. Okay, even in your circumstances look dark and threatening. Well, remember, still shining on. Okay, so just keep plowing forward, keep pushing forward. Can I do that one too? Yeah, we're gonna close with this one here. All right, let me pull back from that big old up in your face to this one here. And what I really want to do is do this. Or more like that. Okay. More middle of the screen. Okay, so sometimes I get flustered. We all get flustered, especially with this visual stimulation, this sensory overload. Okay, too much media, too much of this, too much of that can get you all worked up and stuff, and get you flustered and get you frustrated, and then things start going wrong and not going your way. Okay, I deal with it every day. I struggle, just the same things you guys go through too. So, when things are not going your way, use to get flustered. Stop what you're doing and take some deep breaths. Seek my face. Spend a few moments enjoying my presence. Tell me about the matters that are frustrating you, and I will help you see things from my perspective so you can sort out what is really important. Remember, a lot of these useless matters you're stressing over? Let me help you sort out what is really important. How can I do that? I will help you see things from my perspective so we can sort out what's really important. And I will open up the way before you as you press on in trusting dependence. As you press on in trusting dependence. Okay? I will open up the way before you as you press on in trusting dependence, remaining in communication with me. Your desire to feel in control is often the culprit behind your frustrations. I know it is for me, and I'm pretty sure it happens to you guys. I know it does. Your desire to feel in control is often the culprit behind your frustration. You plan your day and you expect others to behave in ways that expedite your plans, but when that doesn't happen, you face a choice: to resent the situation or to trust me. Remember that I am in control and my ways are higher than yours, as the heavens are higher than the earth. Instead of getting agitated about setbacks to your schedule, use them as reminders that I am your Savior God and you are my beloved follower. So relax in my sovereign control, trusting in my unfailing love. Okay? Give up control, relax in my sovereign control. That's when you can trust in my unfailing love. That's when that culprit of frustration loses control, because you're trying to feel in control. That's what causes the frustration. When you let go of trying to be in control, then your frustrations go sliding away. Okay, you guys are starting to grasp how that works, and you're seeing that my ways are higher than yours, but they're still attainable. You can still make it there. You're just learning higher ways of doing things. Okay? Remember that I am in control. When you do that, that takes the stress of you being in control out of the equation. It should. It sounds simple. It's hard to do. But when things are not going your way, refuse to get flustered. And that's usually when you catch yourself. It's already too late. You're flustered and you're going, Lord, help me. I did it again. I got flustered. I let this world get to me and get me riled again. But it's that recognition of it. It's that recognition and taking a moment, Lord, I let this world get to me. That overstimulation, that sensory overload got me flustered. So take some deep breaths, seek my face, spend a few moments enjoying my presence. It's supposed to be enjoyable. A little time of joy in my presence helps take away all those problems for a minute, okay? Your desire to feel in control is often the culprit behind your frustration. It's usually the culprit behind your frustration, okay? You gotta let go of control. It's hard stuff, simple stuff, but just hard to do, okay? The more you practice it, the more rich and full you live, okay? That's it for the reading tonight. What else we're gonna do, Lord? You want to do something else? Oh, did I show you guys this one yet? Okay, a little extra hours, a little overtime stuff here. Okay, so there we are, done with the reading and stuff. I wanted to, what's this? Um, let's see if we can find this video here again. Bear with me for just a sec while this tries to load up here. Oh, let's see. Please, Lord, why didn't that not go in? Okay, so we had that meteor that came in over Russia a few years back, and little did people know that a UFO snuck in there and took out that. What is wrong with these? A UFO came out and took out that meteor, broke it in half, and reduced the size of it so it didn't make an impact so hard. And I was going to try to bring you that video here if we can get YouTube a little cooperation here. Well, you can tell this poor laptop's struggling. Okay, so let's try. Oh, wait, we should have put Russian meteor. There it is right there. Is this the very video where I zoom in on it? No, but it's this event. Okay, y'all recognize that event that happened over Chelyabinsk, Russia? Well, captured in there is a UFO that came up out of nowhere, strikes the object, strikes the meteor, and breaks it up into two pieces so it doesn't impact as hard. And I'm looking for that video really quick. I just wanted to pull it up for you. Okay, I typed in UFO first, and it used to be like second video down. I don't know what happened to it. There it is. Shoots down. Okay, I didn't shoot it down, but here's this video after
With
our
affordable
ad.
prices at Carson City Storage.
Of course. All right. Can we have this now? And then 3 minutes into the video will be another ad. So here we go, really quick. This quick little video here. Let this play for a second. Let it play. Just in case some of you guys didn't know, some of these UFO activities actually protecting the planet too. UFO can like take out an asteroid, right? So if there was some impending object that were gonna cause some damage over a certain site, well, somebody out there has technology to intercept an asteroid, and they didn't even shoot at it. They just hit it with the ship. The ship actually broke. They smashed into it with the ship and broke up that asteroid. Okay, so a lot of this activity going on and people don't know about it, okay? Then there was also, so do that, one with the, over Slovakia, the event over Slovakia. Strange sounds over Slovakia. Okay, this event right here, very, very crazy. Okay, one of these giant faces showing up in the sky, but this time there's some sound with it. And this is playing, the spiritual realm moves in different speeds. It's slow motion and hyper fast. So some of these events, we need to speed up the the speed of them so you can hear the sound better. Okay, so we're doubling the speed, the playback speed on this to capture the sounds that were captured here. All right, so this video is about the strange sound heard in the sky. I don't think they saw the giant face in the clouds that's making the strange sound. So we're going to go ahead and play this really quick here. I hope they don't blast your eardrums out.
Ready? Here we go.
Ugh, dang ads, man. You can't just like capture the video right at the end there. Okay, so this event has already taken place. All right, so we could possibly see more activity like this. And then it spits lightning. Lightning comes out of its mouth. I'm showing you this not to scare you guys, okay? When activity like this stuff starts to happen, you'll know, you'll understand what's going on, and you won't be so rattled and shaken. You'll understand it's the Lord here warning the people down below. And as a believer, you have nothing to fear. It's these people down here who have no clue what's going on that have reason to fear here in Slovakia. Because this activity, this is a real event that took place. Okay, and right there you can see lightning coming out of the mouth right there. Oh, maybe right there. Okay, so I got these giant faces in the clouds that follow me all around. Now my face is showing up in the clouds with a crown. Okay, and it's showing up over other countries, growling and spitting lightning, warning the people. Okay, so here's some activity that's already been captured. All right, this is some old footage, it's a few years old now. Okay, crazy activity. Giant faces in the cloud right there. All right, so there's that. And then what other one we're going to show more? We did the face, we did the UFO shoots down the rest thing. You see that face right there and that white arch over the nose? Well, very similar to this face, the white arch over the nose here. See if we can pull it up just a little bit bigger. It'll let me. No. Okay, see that little white little kind of arch there over the nose that defines the nose on the face? And see that same white arch right there over the nose right there, defining that face. Okay, but for those of you I love, you guys have nothing to fear. Okay, and that's because, well, you're here. You're part of an exclusive family, a royal family. All right, very, very blessed that I found this and I was able to bring it to you. Okay, and so you guys will know what's going on. Stuff won't catch you off guard and you won't be shaken, okay? A lot of this stuff that you're seeing are all signs of what's coming, right? And if you know what's coming, you won't be so rattled. You'll have experience at salvaging your day, at knowing how all this works. Okay, so what you're looking at is my face in the clouds with a crown over it, coming with power and great glory. Okay, it's because of what I went through. Right, I testified last night, showed you some of the stuff that I went through. Okay, so I've had some experience with the spiritual realm here and how to work with it. All right. When you see this face here with this crown, that's my face coming in the clouds with power and great glory. It's fascinating and intriguing how this happened, how a face can form out of cloud. Okay. It's a miracle. When you look at this and you understand this is a 2,000-year-old prophecy that came true. Okay. All of a sudden, these dots start to connect in your head and you start to figure out what's going on here, okay, and what happened to me, all right, and who I am, okay. When you realize what happened to me and who I am, that's the moment you realize who you are, okay. The word rapture is not in the Bible. But it does talk about when you see these things come to pass, look up, you'll see me coming in the clouds. Like this, coming in the clouds. Not like Hollywood portrayed with some dude hovering in the air with wind blowing through his hair. And no. That's Hollywood, the lying version. This is real images. That's what's so awesome about this is these are real. This is your foundation. This is your rock. I am here. I am back. That makes you a royal family. Okay? If you want it, the moment you believe me and the moment you trust me is the moment you're technically raptured. Okay? It's the moment you're caught up, like a good book or a good song, you're caught up with me in the clouds. We meet here in the air, cyberspace. How are you supposed to describe cyberspace when a computer hasn't even been invented yet? So we meet in the air where you get caught up with me in the clouds. You see your salvation coming close. You're practicing salvaging your day is the root word of salvation. So you're salvaging your days. Some days are good, some days are bad, but each day is precious. That's why it's important you salvage it. Don't let one bad thing at the beginning of the day ruin the rest of your day. Okay, maybe you started off smooth, then at lunch something tripped you up. Maybe you made it through breakfast and lunch and dinner tripped you up. Okay, no matter how it works, you overcome it. Take a moment, relax, remember the presence is here. Okay, tap into that presence. Remember that you're a spiritual warrior going through adversity. Okay, it only making you stronger. When you view things from that perspective, you start to it takes the sting off of your circumstances and your adversity. It also brings more joy and fulfillment during your good times as well. Okay, it works both ways. The more you lean into it, the more you put into it, the more you get in return. That's the awesome thing about this. It's limitless how much you put into it that you get in return. It's just how much you put in. So if you go with a lot of faith and a lot of trust, you'll get a lot in return. If it doesn't sink in quite yet and you're still on the fence, don't leave before the miracle happens. Okay, stick around, get to know me. This is a relationship. Okay, relationships are built on trust. Once you build that trust, you've built a relationship with me, and it's not a religion, it's a relationship. You use the tools that I give you as disciples, and you find relief in your daily life. When you're doing that, you're overcoming your circumstances, you're overcoming the world, and you get a glory for it. A little crown for it. And then you overcame something else that day and you got another crown and you overcame using Jesus to overcome your circumstances, get you a little glory. Okay, and you go from glory to glory to glory while you're in your tribulation. There's all this talk of pre-tribulation, post-tribulation, 7 years tribulation. Man, your whole life has been tribulation. All right. If you look around at the world and all the events that are the weather events, volcano events, all the events that are happening to people in different countries, they're going through their tribulation right now. Okay. And that a lot of people are having to turn to this and find relief through trusting in Jesus, praying, taking a moment, regain composure, salvage that part of the day, then continue on, try to bring that light into other people's lives as you proceed through salvaging your day. I know it's a lot, but you guys are marching and tearing it up. You guys are actually getting results, and that's what I like to see. Is I like to see the people I love get some results. Okay, that's why I do all this. All right, it's for you. That's it for tonight. We covered a lot of stuff, and just remember, this all comes from a place of love. You guys are enduring and overcoming as you go through each day, salvaging multiple times, sometimes a day, going from glory to glory in tribulation. You're only getting stronger. Okay. I love you guys. I miss you guys. Before I sign out, I want to say goodnight to Tiger's Eye, New York Debs, Lizard Hunter. Congratulations on your wrench. Kind of last people. Marcia, if you're still awake. Love always. Thank you for being here. Who's that? Amy Bernard, thank you. Oh, all these wonderful, beautiful people. I'm so thankful that you guys gave me a minute of your time, because back when all this started, just 5 minutes of somebody's time could have saved me a lot of trouble and headache. But it's amazing how all that worked out. It was fascinating to see people's reaction and how they immediately jumped to old ways of thinking, and oh, you see angels means you're crazy. Man, all throughout history, people have been seeing angels. In recorded history, nobody recorded them as crazy, But this day and age, something like that, they're labeled nuts. But then I tried to tell them, no, I captured angels on video, or on closed circuit TV, or a security camera. I captured them on camera that you can see. But nobody listened to that. They wanted to jump right to oh, you're seeing angels? Oh, cool, we can label you crazy. That's one of the lessons I learned along this path, is how quickly people jump to conclusions when they don't sit down and look and listen for 5 minutes. Because then all of a sudden something miraculous happens, doesn't it? When you guys sit down and look and listen for a few minutes, didn't something miraculous happen to you? Didn't this change your life and give you a new outlook on life? That's how all this works. Is your moment of time that you invest in me, I like to pay back with dividends. Okay, so thank you for spending your precious time here as part of this family. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this pays off dividends for you, okay? All right, this is so you will grow stronger as we go down this path, all right? That's it for tonight. I love you all. I miss you all. And until my next show, I will be back. I told you I would be back. And I am already back. I have been for a long time. 7 years I've been walking around, watching and studying, snuck in the back door, a thief in the night. Everybody was looking here, looking there. And like a thief in the night, snuck right in there. Been watching all of you for 7 years. I went ahead of you. I've been through all this for the last 7 years. My tribulation, I go before you as well as beside you, so I can give you meat in due season. And you guys are eating it up. I love it. Keep plowing forward. You guys are doing great. Just thankful for your progress, that you're finding the relief, overcoming your circumstances and your so much that comes with this. So that courage, hope, and strength that this brings to you, I want you to bring that same courage, hope, and strength into other people's lives. Okay? That's how it's done. And when you're doing that, you're living rich and full, and you'll feel it inside. You'll know that you're on the right path when you're bringing that light into other people's lives. Okay, it'll bring you joy as well. It blesses them, it blesses you, and it blesses all of us, doesn't it? It's a win-win-win situation. So keep going. Endure, and if you stumble, brush off the dirt, get back up, and keep going. It's not your performance, it's your willingness to continue to endure. Okay? Sometimes it's painful, but those painful steps are each step you take that's painful, you're overcoming that pain, and you're just glory to glory to glory as you're walking. You're walking in your tribulation and pain, going from glory to glory with each step, just chalking them up. Okay? That's it for tonight. I sure love you guys. I sure miss you guys. And until my next show, I will be back. I'm a man of my word. I told you I would be back. I am already back. Can't you tell? Love you all. Bye.